Welcome back to The Unknown Angler. Today we're going to tie a simple tarpon fly using an EP brush. First we're going to start off with my favorite tarpon hook, a 12S Gamakatsu in size 2/0 and some 140 denier white thread. So my buddy Skip pointed out to me that I put this on my 6 favorite flies for the Florida Keys. And I hadn't posted it, and I did look and I hadn't posted it. I'm kind of surprised. Anyway, I'm going to add some large bead chain eyes, these extra large bead chain eyes. If you scale this down a little bit for baby tarpon, then you can go down to size 2 or 1 hook and use a smaller bead chain. Anyway, so Skip, I did a couple of flies from last year. He went out to the Atlantic side in Florida, and apparently he hooked something quite large on this fly and broke it off. I can tell you that this fly has caught more barracuda than it's caught tarpon. I've caught just tons of barracuda on this thing. Small ones, nothing real large. The 18 inches to 24 inch barracuda that we find in the Keys, for some reason they just love this thing. They tear it to shreds. That's why I tie it half a dozen to a dozen every year before I go down. Wrap your thread all the way to the back of the hook and then add in just a little dressed as in orange. This is going to be your hot spot. Everybody calls it an egg sac for shrimp. I like to think of it more as a hot spot. It's kind of like Euro nymphing, where you tie in hot spots for the fish to key in on. Then we're going to go to some white extra select craft fur. The reason I like the extra select from Hairline is that you can get a good 2.5 inch tail out of it. I probably got 3.5 inches of actual craft fur there. I'm trying to get about a 2.5 inch tail. And I know it's always kind of hard whenever you're watching videos on YouTube to figure out the exact proportions of the fly. So, because we're so close in on the fly, but look at how far that craft fur goes back on the vise. That's a real good indication of how long it is. Do some under wraps, or basically parachute tie your your craft fur. I got hung up there a little bit, so it stands up. This will keep it from fouling a little bit less. And then just 2 pieces of crystal flash on either side of the craft fur works great. The normal, tie it in on one side, fold it over to the other, tie it back on the other, and cut it off about the length of the tail. And take a black Sharpie, and I make 3 or 4 lines through the tail. Now when you're doing this, don't overdo with the Sharpie. Don't try to get as black as you can or get the tightest line. Pull the fibers tight and just draw up and down it, quick touches to it, and it'll do a better job of kind of mimicking the bars in the shrimp. Now this is more for the fishermen than anything else. This is just a quick dab of marabou on the top. Gives it a little bit more motion in the water other than the EP brush. The EP brushes tend to push water more than they move around. They don't give a lot of motion in the water. That's why this is right on top of the hook here. And it makes a nice looking fly too. And then last but not least, we're going to use an EP fiber brush. Now, the original ones I tied all had the 1.5 inch, I think they call them minnow head brushes from Bugasi, and those are fantastic. The 1.5 inch minnow heads is what worked here originally. I now tie my own, and this is a 2 inch, which is just slightly bigger. It's about, well, it's a 1/2 inch bigger, but it's just slightly bigger. I just like it a little bit more. The 1.5 inch will work just fine if you're not making your own. If you're making your own, this is a 2-inch brush with polar flash intermittently woven in. And I think probably 6 or 7 wraps forward should do it. So you come right up behind the bead chain eye and then make a good wrap in there behind the bead chain eye. I tie it off behind the bead chain. You can tie off in front. It's up to you. It's easy for me to tie it off back there and then just kind of whip finish right in front, leaving about 1/4 to 1/3 of the hook bare up front. It's kind of your traditional leave the front of the hook bare tarpon fly, even though this does work on, well, it works on a lot of other fish too, but it is the leaving the front of the hook bare is kind of the designation for this is a tarpon pattern. And then pick out all your fibers. I go through with a bodkin and initially do it, and then I'll go back through with an eyebrow brush. You can find these on Amazon. You just burn any of the extra fibers off of there. And then it's the eyebrow brush right there that does a nice job of really combing everything out and making sure that you're in good shape. And you can see where that hot spot is, and when you see the back of the fly, you really see where it is. Makes for a very nice presentation. A little bit of UV Cure epoxy on the top, inside. And we'll take it off the vise in a second. We'll give you a 360 on the fly to show you what it looks like. There you go. There's your hot spot. It's a nice little fly. It's pretty high in the water column, even with the extra large bead chain eyes. See you next time.